Good evening, everyone. This is me, Emmanuel Javed, and today on my YouTube channel, which is known as Exponential Growth, today I'm with one of a very generous and noble person whose name is Lindy. She got into med school in 2019, and she is from Indiana State of the US. So today we'll be discussing about her experience, that how she got into med school and what path she took to get into med school, because this is the question in each and every individual's mind, that how he or she can get into the med school. So without delaying, I will go to Lindy. Hi Lindy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So yeah, good. How's life going?
It's good. Just
So
the study grind of med school.
so how is everything going with the med school, and how are you planning your study during COVID times? Like, how is this COVID time going?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm super fortunate to be here at Loma. I think they've really done a lot to still give us the best education amidst COVID. A lot of it's online, but they've been able to give us some in-person experience, which has been great.
Okay, so Lindy, my viewers want to know that because like many of our viewers who are in undergrad right now, and they are taking undergrad courses during the times of COVID. So like, if you can share your experience of bachelor's, that how did you go through your bachelor's and what courses did you take to get into the med school, and how did those courses help you to pursue your medical studies?
Yeah, for sure. So I did a pretty typical route. I majored in biology with a pre-med concentration, and then I also got my minor in chemistry. And so that's a pretty typical route, but I met a lot of people during my application process, and even I have current classmates that all different kinds of backgrounds, and journaling majors and nursing backgrounds, and basically anything you can imagine. It all just comes down to, can you prepare yourself for the MCAT?
Oh, so like, do you think like if a person with a particular major, like if a person who's applying with a science background has a more chance to get into a med school as compared to an arts major? Do you think that?
I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on the med school that you're applying to. But I feel like in general the trend is kind of shifting. They're starting to look for, they want someone who has a unique background, who can bring a different perspective into medicine. So I really enjoyed my biology background. I love science. I love learning about that. But I think really you can get in with anything, really. You just have to be able to take your experience and share with the application committee why you're passionate about it, and then ensure that it still enables you to prepare for the MCAT.
Like I have read in the like MCAT's application that they require you to take specific extracurricular activities and spend particular hours in patient care. So like, can you share the extracurricular activities you went through?
Mm-hmm.
Please, like they want to hear, like please.
Yeah. So being at Taylor was actually really great. We had a lot of opportunity to travel abroad. So I went over to Israel and studied over there for a month. And then I also studied abroad for a whole semester in Ecuador. I got to learn Spanish. I lived with a host family down there that didn't speak English, and just got to kind of immerse myself in a whole new culture. I got to work in the hospital down there, so I did my 80 hours of practicum down there. And being in a foreign country, like the healthcare systems look a lot different. And so that was a really great experience, and I got to do a lot of hands-on stuff. And then coming back so that was my sophomore year of college. And then I came back and I had the opportunity to be part of a cardiac rehab unit in my school. So I worked with people who were recovering from heart attacks. Some of them had COPD, just a variety of diseases that had really affected their quality of life. And so basically I just worked with them and got them like back into shape and to a point of where they could function and have a better quality of life again. And then I also worked as a health educator in a diabetes prevention program. So I got to do that it was half a year of training, and then I got to work in the clinic for a year and a half. So just got to kind of experience what that like healthcare provider patient interaction was like, and see that side of healthcare, and that really just helped push me toward my dream of becoming a doctor. And then I also did some super fun intramural sports, so I love sports, and so did intramural football and volleyball, basketball, basically anything they were offering at the time. So it was pretty great.
So as you like said that you spent it like half an year doing like patient care and stuff, and you did like basketball, and you went to the foreign countries for studying. So my question is this, like, where I'm confused, like, how did you manage your extracurricular activities with a lot of work burden? Like, can you share that?
Yeah. So it was really tough. Undergrad was tough. It was a grind. But it was just all about just becoming efficient, and like just making sure that I use time management, and just making sure that I took the time to use my extracurricular activities as a way to like maintain a good balance, and like make sure that my mind was strong enough to like continue studying and continue through that grind. So I mean, I think for each person it's different in how you manage it. I'm someone who can't just like look at the book once and like, yeah, it's in my brain. Like, I have to do a couple passes through it. So I had to make sure that I was putting in the time to study, but I found that when I made sure that I took the time to take a break, go play football, you know, go work with my patients, it really helped keep me mentally tough.
So now the most asked question is that how much GPA you should have to get into the med school, and how much MCAT score do you should have to get into the med school? Like, this is the most asked question.
Yeah.
We have heard this question from every single pre-med in school, and from every single pre-med student. They're asking that we should have like a perfect GPA. We should have a GPA of like 3.8 and an MCAT score of like 510 if you want to get into a med school. So is this a myth, or is it a true, or is it something which is really very true, or what do you think about it?
I think so. Both of those things are very important, but you can overcome a lower GPA or a lower MCAT score with extracurriculars, and with having like kind of like a well-rounded application. I mean, they obviously look at those things, but in so many of the med schools, like, that's definitely not the only thing they're looking at. So I know people who had super high MCAT scores and like 4.0 GPA and got one interview because they did not have a well-rounded application, and so they had nothing to set them apart. So I did pretty well on my MCAT, and I did have a 4.0 GPA, but that was definitely not what they asked me about in my application. Like, it was like, okay, great, like, you have this so you can look at a book, but like, we need doctors who can relate to people. So just make sure you don't sacrifice everything else for getting the best, you know, getting the 528 on the MCAT and the 4.0 GPA. Like, I mean, if you can do that, that's great, but if you sacrifice everything else while doing that, it's not worth it.
So what you're trying to say is that, like, let me summarize everything. Like, yes, they want a well-rounded person, not a person who's very like a bookworm and who's got a 528, like a perfect MCAT score and a perfect GPA. They're not looking for that thing. They're looking for a well-rounded person, yes, right?
Yeah.
So now another thing, like, you're in Loma Med School, right? So what processes did you go through to get into Loma Linda? Like, what application? Like, first there's primary application, then there's secondary application, and then the interview comes. So can you like go through like that primary application phase, like when you should apply, or what is the right time to apply for the med school? Because many people have asked me that they don't know that when they should apply for the med school.
Right.
So can you tell me the date? Like, not me, like them.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell them the date of like how to like get into the med school, like when to apply?
Yeah. So your primary application, it will open in, I want to say like the end of May is when the AMCAS primary application opened. I had started working on like getting all of my hours for all my extracurriculars like into like an Excel sheet, just so I had it all right there. And then I also started working on my essay that goes into the primary application prior to that, so that when that application opened, I had that essay done. And then I also had wanted to start that early because people had said like that was really important to getting that secondary application offer, and then further on with your interview offer. And so I wanted to make sure that I had people like outside of myself read through that and get that ready. So highly recommend doing that like as early as you can. And then so you submit your primary, and then usually about late June, schools will start sending out secondaries, and so just prepare to be writing a lot of essays that summer, because each school will have their own set of around 5 to 10 essay questions, and so you have to just sit there and grind and write like 60 to 70 essays, depending on how many schools you apply to, obviously. And then becomes the waiting game. So you submit those. Usually those are due September, October, but it's highly encouraged to just get them in as fast as possible. And then you get to play the waiting game for, you could get an interview offer starting in September, or it could be March, who knows? So just that part was definitely the hardest part of just like waiting and waiting. There's no communication. You have no idea whether they got your secondary, they are even like still considering you. And then you'll get your interview. You'll usually go out to the school and interview. It'll be probably a day-long process of interviewing. They'll give you a campus tour. Each school does their interview differently. So, I mean, AMCAS has great resources, both on one-on-one interview and MMI interviews. And then after your interview, you get to play the waiting game again. And it is brutal because you're just like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna get in? So that was something I was not prepared for just like how emotionally draining the application process was. Because you start in May, and then it's still going in March, April, and so that was really hard. And then obviously you get in or you don't, and if you don't, it's hard, but you just restart your process. You take the year, do something to build your application, and I have a lot of classmates who did not get in the first round and just buckled down, got some more experience, and then reapplied. And they love to see that. The application committees love to see a reapplicant. It does not hurt your application at all to reapply. They're not looking down on you. They want to see that because it shows that you have the grit and you have what it takes. So,
like, they're just looking for that gradual improvement which you have made from that past year,
yep,
or the last attempt, like how much better you are from the last attempt as compared to the recent attempt,
mm-hmm,
right?
Yeah.
So if I summarize this into like 2-3 words,
yeah,
it is like it starts from like round about 30th of May,
mm-hmm,
and it is like primary application. You get that primary application like on 30th May,
mm-hmm,
and then you get your secondaries, which depend upon the school, that whether they
yeah,
will be sending you the primaries, that whether they will be sending you the secondary application or not. And technically, if they don't send you the secondary application, you should feel like that you are rejected from the school.
Yeah, usually they send out like a mass email, just saying like, sorry, you, like, we're not, like, your application was not set apart at this time, and so, just, yeah, sorry, basically.
Yeah,
it's just rough. It's a mass email, and
Rejection do hurts, but believe me, I am the most rejected person in this world. I am the most rejected person. I don't want to share my personal experiences, but I have been rejected from every part of life, from every segment of life. Like reaching over here, I have faced like a lot of rejections. So that's why I feel rejection is hard, but rejection is the first step towards success. Like anything you do the first time, there are the chances that you might get rejected, but coming back is the thing which matters the most. So Linda, now one of the most important questions, which is really important to, like, which is really very sensitive question, and it is really very important to my heart, and I feel really very sorry when I ask this kind of question, but it is one of the question which is the most important or most highlighted question, and that question is that there are many teens who at the age of 18 becomes moms, and at the age of like 22 they end up being single moms, and with that scenario they have some dreams in their mind that they want to be physicians, surgeons and doctors. But as you know that the path for getting into med school is of 4 years, and becoming a physician is next 4 years, so it's technically 88 years, right? So what do you recommend those people or those ladies, because I feel that those are the most strong ladies, so what do you recommend those ladies, that which path they should go for? Either they should go for LVN, BSN and then med school, or they should go for from direct bachelors to med school, and what do you recommend for them?
Yeah, it's a tough question, and I just admire anyone who's in that situation, and I definitely do not have an expert opinion on this, and you know, I can only really like share what my experience has been, and then also like the experience that I've seen others go through, but I personally did the straight bachelor's straight into med school, and loved that journey, but I have several classmates who are moms who did the nursing pathway, became nurses, and now are pursuing their medical degree and have kids, and it is tough. Like, talking to them, it is a journey, and so I think pick the path that best works for the current situation you're in. Which path are you going to be able to be involved in the most supportive community, keep the most support around you to help you get through that, whether that means going through bachelor's and then straight into med, or doing nursing and having an income while you then study for your MCAT and do all that. So I think just do whatever is best for you at that point. It's hard. I don't think there's a right answer. And then when you go into that application, just use whatever your experience is. Like, that is something that 100% sets you apart, and that's not going to be easy on anyone. So just sharing your heart and your journey and your experiences and overcoming the challenges of that with your medical application team, honestly, will be a really, really big in your application. So it's hard, and I don't know. That would just be my thought on it, but
yeah, I respect your point of view from the core of my heart, and it was so nice experience talking to you. You have told our viewers that GPA, MCAT, what route should they take, and how much it is difficult for a single mom to go from like an ordinary life to a med school life. It's really very hard, and thank you so much for sharing your experience, and I would like to thank you from the core of my heart. So God bless you. So viewers, here it was Linda from Loma Med School, and she's in her second year of med school, and
first year,
and so hopefully she'll be a doctor till 2023, right?
2024 I graduate.
Oh, 24, yeah, and we will be looking as a surgeon in future, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. Hopefully.
Okay, and do subscribe, like and share my YouTube channel. I'm doing this first time. Like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel, and take care. God bless, and see you with the next interview. Bye bye.